How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Freedom Empowered, Ep.6. It's Nick and Mason here. Before we start today, I'd like to remind you guys to go subscribe, rate, review the episode on iTunes or all the episodes, really. Also, be sure to check out our Facebook page. We just made it. It's new. Our Twitter page is also up. We have a lot of new things coming up. Another thing we are going to work on is starting a Q&A portion for the show. So we have a contact link on our Facebook page. Just be sure, go to contact page, leave us a question, and we'll try to answer it during an episode. And
yeah, guys, if you guys, any of you guys have questions, or even if you're already living a life of freedom and you think that we would love that and you would be a great addition to our show, go ahead and hit us up, and we'll be glad to bring you on.
Yeah, and we're also starting a Facebook group so we can have more one-on-one interaction with the listeners. So basically, we have a lot of new things and exciting things coming on the show. We're both excited for it, and I think you guys are going to be pretty excited for it too.
Yeah, guys. So today's episode, we're going to just kind of talk about, some of the normal things, but I know kind of the focus is going to be on people that are obviously free and successful, but it's going to be unconventional. It's not going to be money based. It's not going to be business based. It's going to be people that found a way to create a life of freedom for themselves in something that's completely unique and completely interesting. And I think one of the more specific parts of it is going to be how, what they're doing is going to be something that you can find throughout society completely normally, but they found a way to capitalize and grow that interest or that activity that they do, that job, into something that is honestly, they're straight crushing life. It's some of the most extreme forms of freedom that I've ever seen. But the interesting part is that it stemmed from something that was pretty normal, that a lot of us do every day, and they just put in the effort and had the vision to make it happen.
Yeah, it's just normal dudes doing normal jobs, and then they're either the best at it or they expand it to an extreme. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they've turned a basic idea and made it into an interactive extreme sport or an extreme idea, and now it's extremely popular, or they make lots of money, or they're extremely famous because of it.
Right. I think we have whether it's your job or simply just a hobby you have, I think a lot of people choose to be kind of mediocre. They choose to be like, hey, well, I have a job and I'm gonna fund this hobby that I do, but I'm just gonna keep it as a hobby. I'm just gonna have fun with it. Or someone who has a job and they're like, I'm cool with just staying middle management, or I'm cool with just staying at one of the lower tiers of this job. Why would you not? If you found what you love, and I'm not saying I'm assuming that this is what you love. You found a job that you love. You found a hobby that you love. So you already have some of the basic tenets of freedom there. You're at the goal line. And I'll just talk about that real quick. The goal line is this place where, some of us who are completely not free, we're doing something that we hate, or we're just totally unsatisfied with our lives, we're not even at the goal line. The goal is to get to this goal line to where from there we're in the race. We're at the goal line, we're at the start of the race, and now we still have a lot of work in front of us. We still have a lot of moves to make, but at least we're on the right path. So these are some people where what I'm talking about is they've gotten to the goal line, they've found what they love, and then they choose to push through it and make their way all the way to the end of the race to have ultimate freedom. And I'll start it off with we were talking about paramedics. I mean, this is just something that me and Nick were researching, and we found this pretty cool article. So a lot of people are paramedics, and that's one of those jobs where I think that you're doing it because you truly love it. Whether you're a paramedic, you're a police officer, you're a firefighter, you're in the military, whatever it is, if you're doing one of these service-based jobs, you probably like what you're doing for a reason. You probably love what you're doing. You're doing it because you like to help other people, or you like the uniqueness about what you're doing. And then we looked more into it, like, hey, are there different types of paramedics? So being a paramedic, you're at the goal line, you found what you love to do. How much farther can you push it though? If that's the beginning of the race, what's at the end of the race? And we found this one field of being a paramedic or a first responder in the Swiss Alps, and it's the Rega Rescuemen, and they're basically a nonprofit organization. It's privately run, but it's a nonprofit organization that where they have search and rescue missions for people that have been caught in accidents in the Swiss Alps, whether it be snowboarding or it be hiking or it be whatever it is that gets them into trouble. They have this organization will save them. And it's interesting, they have approximately like 9 or 10 different types of helicopters, and they even have a private jet that will race you from one country to another if you're needing that urgent of care. And some of their teams, they comprise of an on board physician. They have a helicopter pilot, obviously, which not only are they a helicopter pilot, but they're able to navigate some pretty extreme terrain. And then they have a couple paramedics, and maybe I think they also have a translator. And I'm just saying, I mean, Nick can probably talk on this a little bit more.
Well, there's a lot of paramedics in the field I work in right now. Currently, I work with paramedics every day, and I'm sure working as a paramedic in the city, depending on which city you live in or which county you live in, it can be exciting. But for the Rega Air Rescue Company, being a paramedic and doing search and rescue missions and finding someone, because if you find someone out in the mountains, it's usually an extreme injury, and to paramedics, doctors, it sounds terrible, but that's the more exciting cases. And I don't know, part of the reason why people get into this field is because they enjoy helping other people. So they enjoy the fact that they're helping someone live, basically. You know what I mean?
And I think kind of what we're trying to express to you is we're not saying that, hey, if you're a paramedic, then you need to be doing something more. Because if you're happy being a paramedic, that's awesome. We're saying that you've already found what you love. But the point is that look at these people who said, I found what I love. Let me go and see how far I can take it. So you have these people do that. And I just wanted to kind of go over, we looked into like the requirements to become one. So you need to have 3 years experience in your field. So whether you're a doctor, you're a helicopter pilot, or you're a paramedic, you have 3 years of experience in your field. And then you're going to have like a 2 or 3 year train up in Switzerland. And then after that, and then you have a little bit of experience in like maybe mountain rescue. So maybe like you're on a local search and rescue team or whatever. And then that's all it takes. And after you go through the train up, then you can get accepted to one of these fields. And then so basically what I'm trying to tell you guys is that's not even that extreme of requirements. Like if you're an experienced paramedic and you're trying to do something more, all I'm trying to say is that there's people out there who have found, ways to go beyond that.
Well, like I know a lot of paramedics who've been paramedics for I know a lot who've been paramedics for like the past 15 years. So they have that experience. Then you joined a search and rescue team or you moved to Switzerland. We talked about it last episode, the mobility, being able to, the freedom of mobility, moving somewhere and pursuing a dream or freedom that way. And that's just a big deal, especially for this job specifically. Since we're talking about this job specifically, you're going to have to move to Switzerland and do their training program, which is, I think you said it was 3 years, right?
3 years, yeah.
Yeah, 3-year training program.
What did you not do? Did you not do your research before we started? Come on, dude.
All right. And then...
But, no, I'm sorry. But,
that's not good.
But guys, I mean, so basically we've talked about this a lot, but basically the point is that it's not to say that, hey, if you found something you love, you need to do more. We're not saying that you're any less because you found something that you love, but we're saying that there are people out there who have found what they love and then found a way to make it that much better. And so another one that we kind of looked into is do any of you guys know who Travis Rice is? He's a professional snowboarder, and it's just interesting to me because his experience is that of like a hobby. So he grew up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. A lot of you guys might know where that is. He was just got into snowboarding. He was pretty good at it. So where most people, across the board will be like, "Hey, snowboarding's my hobby. I'm going to work a job and then I'm going to, use that money to explore my hobby and just have fun." He said, "Hey, I found what I love. Why don't I do everything I can to make it my job to where this is what I do for a living and then I can just do what I love every day, all day." And just to kind of show you that he did, it wasn't that it just fell in his lap. He did put in some work and put in some effort to get there.
Well, like when he first started snowboarding, or not when he first started snowboarding, when he started pursuing his dream, he was sponsorless. He didn't really know very many people in the industry. He just wanted to snowboard, and he wanted to do that for the rest of his life. And he would drive to Mammoth in California, beautiful mountains, great place to snowboard or even just to vacation at. And he just really put in the work and effort you need to get to the professional status, per se.
Right. So it's specifically what made him big was he was completely unsponsored on his own dime. He drove to a Mammoth Mountain for the Snowboarder Magazine Super Park competition, and then I mean, I don't know precisely what this is, but you guys should probably all look it up because it sounds pretty amazing. But he did a backside rodeo off a 110-foot jump, and that was like the most extreme trick that they had seen in a while. And after that, he got signed for an upcoming movie where they filmed him. So the point here is that, how many people out there, I mean, if you guys ski or snowboard, you'll go and see there's so many people that are very good at the sport and they are doing amazing tricks, and it's honestly inspiring. But how many of them put in that little bit of extra effort to like actually like put their neck out there and try to compete with that next level, try to like get a slot at the next level and make it their job.
Yeah, exactly. It's more about you taking that step where instead of just doing something you love, or you doing something you love on your off time, and then during work you hate your life. It's the worst job ever. It's extremely boring. Yeah, you may have some work friends, but you work that 9 to 5. You go back home, hang out with your family, and then on weekends, maybe if you're lucky, you go do your hobby. You know what I mean? That just doesn't sound like a fulfilling life as much.
I think it kind of gets into like the kind of philosophically, it kind of gets into like the human psyche and how people think about things. And people like to be the best, right? So everyone wants to be the best at what they do. So, someone, hey, I'm in this group of people. I'm in like a semi-pro. I'm in like a tier 2 group of people, and they like being the best. Why would you want to be the worst? So people like to stick around at like the hobby level and be the best at their hobby. But what happens is to get to the next level, what do you have to inherently do? Think about it for a second. You have to inherently be the worst at the next level. So you might be the best semi-pro person in the field, but if you make it to the next level, you're the worst pro. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people might fear that. They might say, hey, like I'm the best small business owner in the area, but if I move to the next level, I'm going to be the worst, regional business owner. I'm going to go and the billionaires or the millionaires are going to look down on me for, being the worst in the field. But really, all you've done is make the jump to the next level. And I think people are kind of are nervous or kind of fear that next step, when in reality, I don't think that's anything you ever have to worry about, because I don't know anyone.
Well, since you brought up business, I feel like like a large thing about business is like what separates a small business from a big business. A lot of people say it's money, or so they make up an excuse or something why the bigger business is more successful than the small business. But in reality, in my opinion, in reality, it comes down to just three basic things. They either have a better idea, or they figured out a way to do it better, or they pushed their tail off just to make it all the way. Like, they gave it their all. It could be the same idea, same method. It's just they worked that much harder. You know what I mean?
Right. No,
Like,
I
they were
completely agree.
striving for their fullest potential.
Right. I think a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with it, a lot of people will make it to a certain point and say either one, this is as far as I want to go, or two, they think that this is as far as they can reach, and they just settle there. And I'm not saying that this isn't about money. This isn't saying that, hey, you need to push forward to make more money. But all I'm saying is, if this is truly what you love, this is truly your purpose in life, then would it not benefit you and make you happier to do it at a higher level, to do more, to, like, if you're just trying to help people, to help more people, you know what I mean? So I think that, once again, yeah, it's not about money, but all I'm saying is that if that is truly what you love, why aren't people taking it the next step? And I think it's because people either are inconfident about their abilities to take it to the next level, or simply that they might just fear that next level. They fear being, like, not the best at the next tier.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, almost everyone has like limitless potential. Everyone has that opportunity or that chance to take it to the next level, and people always get caught behind either thinking, oh, they can't make it farther, or they get comfortable and they're like, all right, I'll just settle here. And to absolutely reach personal freedom or reach your dream, you gotta give it your all. You gotta take those chances to get to the next level. And like, we have our four tenets of freedom, which is freedom of finance, freedom of movement, freedom of action, and freedom of thought. Which is those four things are basically how you can be the most free possible. In a later episode, we'll describe how to reach each four thing. But basically, you need freedom of finance to do what you want. And since we're talking about business just right now, you need to make enough money to do the things you love to do, to reach your dreams of what you want to do. And if you're not willing to work or figure out a better idea or figure out a better way of doing something, you're never going to reach that level. You know?
Right, I completely agree. I think another thing that's interesting about, this whole strive to greatness is how, depending on what field you're in, people's perception of you is different. So, for instance, we look at sports, right? You look at pro athletes. How many people, like, are striving to become a pro athlete or an Olympic athlete? Everyone who grows up and plays a sport, all they're striving to, the first level is be a collegiate athlete, and then if you're a collegiate athlete, you're obviously going to want to be a pro athlete or an Olympic athlete, and everyone supports them, right? Everyone says, hey, you can do it. I'll support you in any way you can. I believe that you have the potential to get there. But it's interesting to me to think about how, if you have a different view, like you want to do something that's not sports, people, like, all of a sudden think, oh, I don't know if you can make it. If someone says, hey, my goal is to be a millionaire, my goal is to have my own international business, my goal is to do this or that, people all of a sudden are a little hesitant. They're like, I don't know if you can make it. I don't know if it's possible. Like, yeah, you think you're just really going to be a millionaire? And then I posed the question, like, what's the difference? You're just striving for freedom and success. So what's the difference between being the best at a sport and being the best at a job, or being the best, in your own specific way? And we did a little bit of research and came up with some statistics just so we can, validate this idea. And I looked up some of the statistics for the amount of people who are NCAA athletes who make it to being a pro athlete. And when you look at it, the numbers. So this study looked at baseball, basketball, football, ice hockey, and soccer players. Like basically the five main sports, right? And of all of the people who play NCAA sports, there is 1,210 athletes that make it to the pro level. And of that, only 475 are not baseball, because baseball has, a little over 700 pro athletes because it's a big sport. So let's say that you're not playing baseball. There are 475 people a year that make it to the pro level. And, just to put that in perspective, that is 21% total collegiate athletes that make it to the pro level and 11% that are not baseball. And it's interesting because when you look at the numbers wise, just on the business side, were 400,000 new millionaires created in 2017 from the year 2016. So in 1 year, there were 1,210 people who achieved the level of pro athlete, and there were 400,000 people that achieved the level of new millionaires. So when you look at it like that, how come people will support your dreams and say that you can achieve anything you want in the sports realm and push you all the way? But then when you look at it on the business side or on the individual side, now all of a sudden people say, you really think you're going to be a millionaire? Come on, you're just thinking too big. Stop being ridiculous.
Well,
why?
Well, in my opinion, I feel like there's just a lot more naysayers when it comes to business side. Well, when it comes to sports, people love watching sports. That's people's form of entertainment nowadays. And they're like, oh, I think that guy's going to be great. I'm going to support him all the way through. When it comes to business, if just because one person doesn't agree with your business idea, they're gonna naysay all the way. They're gonna talk you down and try to convince you not to do it.
Right.
And then
it's almost
continue.
It's almost like today's culture promotes complacency in the workforce or in your individual life. It's like people who dedicate themselves to push beyond like where they're at now. They kind of look like as freaks. Like for instance, this is when people think of like someone who, for singers, right? You're singing in the shower. People go, "Oh, that's cool. Like you're a good singer. You can sing in the shower. That's cool." And then if you're a pop star, people think, "Oh wow, this guy's a pop star," and they're beloved. But what about the middle ground? The middle ground of, you're not singing in the shower, but you're also not a pop star yet. And people look at you like you're a freak. Oh, you're out there singing in public. You're out there, trying to sing at like small venues at bars. And that people go, "Oh my God, what are you thinking? You're never going to achieve that." When you look at it, think about bands. Like how many people think that those people that are in bands are just a bunch of hippies who are never going to achieve their goal and they're just wasting their time? I'm not saying that it's not difficult to start like a real band, but I'm also saying that people think that you're a freak or that you're being, stupid with your actions if you're pursuing that. Yeah. But why?
Well, like I feel like people get so weirded out by those who are like trying to reach their dream, and like they think they're abnormal for going for a certain hobby or a certain goal. And it's like I think what they're missing is the courage to do it themselves, and that's why they're talking down on it so much.
Right. People don't want to support you and say that, hey, you could actually be successful doing this. You can be a millionaire because they haven't done it themselves. So, that's just one of the, downsides of, I think, humanity, human nature, is that people don't want other people to be more successful than them. They don't want to, see someone else achieving what they can never achieve themselves. And I think that's kind of like something that we need to try to start changing, is that, not only should you not tell someone that they can't do something just because you haven't done it yourself, but also then why don't you, instead of talking down on them, take them as an example of inspiration and then do whatever you have to do it? Because we talked about it before. There really is no age limit to success. We've seen people who have done this in their late 40s or even late 50s. You look at Bronson, who is the CEO of the Virgin brand, Virgin Mobile, Virgin America. Now all sorts of resorts around the world. He has an airline. He has 500 plus companies. This guy spent 20 years in London working at just a straight record store. The big records, like older than CDs. Some of you might not know what that is, but he worked at that for near 20 years, and then he bought his own store, and then he bought another store. And it wasn't until he was in his 50s that he became rich, but now he has like $6 billion. So the point is that you're never too old to get there. So instead of just being 40 years old, talking down on young people for going for the dreams, maybe it's time for you to take an learning example from them and start to pursue your own dreams. It's never too late.
I feel like a lot of people fall into the trap that their hobbies will stay hobbies and that it can't become their livelihood. It can't become their dream. Like if your dream is to become an artist, try to become as great as Van Gogh. Become the best artist there is. If your dream is music, try to become the best musician possible. Don't just make it a hobby. Make it your livelihood. Make it so every day when you go to work, to the studio, make it where it's no longer work. It's your dream and you're living happy. Or if your dream is to own a business, push your business to be the best business out there. Be the next Jeff Bezos or whatever businessman out there you can think of, whoever you look up to, and make your business the next billion-dollar business.
And guys, even if your dream is to just serve other people, then why not be Gandhi? Why not be the next big leader of social change? You know what I mean? My only thing is that we talk about this goal line. Hey, make it to the goal line. A lot of you already have. A lot of you have found what it is that you love and what you want to do. So now that you're in the race, why not finish the race? Why not elevate your effort to the next level to be the absolute best in that field that you've already found that you love? And that's just pretty much the idea that we're trying to share with you today.
Yeah, it's all about changing your perspective, changing the way you look at your life and look at the possibilities for your life.
Right, elevate your perspective, guys. You're never too old to make it to the next level. You're never too busy to put in a little bit more effort. There's always a little bit more you can do. Always a little bit more you can achieve. Always a little bit more free that you can become. And, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you get there. We're going to give you the ideas, the confidence, and the know-how to make it to the next level. So keep staying tuned. And if you have any specific questions or specific things you want us to, help you learn, help teach you, let us know, and we'll do our best to make sure that everyone is living the most free that they ever thought possible.
And remember, guys, please subscribe, rate, and review the episode on iTunes and share with a friend. Thank you guys for listening to the show. We'll talk to you guys next week.